Will,
Yes, Bob.
we just saw Rogue One,
We sure did.
and boy, howdy, do I have a lot to say about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't know exactly what I'm going to say, but we're going to do no spoilers.
Yes.
No spoilers for like 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're going to go full spoiler. Good?
Yeah.
That does have the time on it. Okay.
No.
No, it has it. We're good. I can
Alright,
see it.
alright,
I
alright.
could see it.
All right.
So, I mean, this might ruin it for some people, but that was the most I've ever enjoyed myself seeing a Star Wars movie.
Really?
Yep. That was the
Wow.
most I've ever enjoyed myself watching a Star Wars movie.
Wow. That's high praise.
It
That's
is.
that's high praise.
I think it's because of everything that's built up to this.
Yeah.
You can't just go in blind, watch it, and be like I'm sure it's a good movie to people who don't like Star Wars.
Right.
But if you love Star Wars, there's a lot in this that is going to call out to
Yeah.
you.
I was thinking I like the movie.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it. I was saying this to my fiance on the ride home. This is the type of movie that had this been, even 5 years ago, this would have just been a book
Yes.
that only like me and like 3 other people that we know would have read.
Yes.
But now, like, this is a movie for everyone to see. And
You're right. I didn't think about that. This is an expanded universe story.
yes, this is an expanding universe story. And the thing about expanding universe stories is they are very different from the main saga movies. They're not these high fantasy space opera movies. They're war stories, they're gangster stories, they're religious stories, and this was a war movie.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't kidding, like in the reviews when they're saying like this is a war movie, this emphasizes the war. This really is. It's not, I would go as far, this is not a fun movie. Like, that's not saying the movie's bad, but it's very serious.
I think-
and it takes this, it was probably more serious and darker than Empire.
It's a lot more fun than I was expecting,
Yeah.
to be honest. It's just the ending, the last like 45 minutes. That is, I mean, a lot of it's dark,
Yeah.
but it's no more fun anymore, like towards the end.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's not to say that there weren't little fun moments, but I think overall,
right.
this has more in common with Saving Private Ryan than it does Force Awakens.
Yeah, I was hearing Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, that too. The Thin Red Line, Platoon, movies like that.
It was great.
I mean, we can't emphasize enough that this is a very different Star Wars movie from the very beginning. It starts off, this isn't really a spoiler, it starts off with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
And then it goes, bah!
And it
you're
just
like
goes
in
right
it.
into the movie. And then the title screen doesn't say Star Wars, it says Rogue One.
Yeah, that
there
was
are location markers throughout the movie. Like, they'll tell you where you are.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And the way the cinematography in this, it's, very close up.
I was going to mention that.
It's very shaky. The shots of the Death Star, this is some of the most beautiful shots of the Death Star you will ever see.
A lot of the shots were gorgeous.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that this movie, the cinematography felt different. A lot of it to me was the composition because everything seemed a little small.
Yeah.
And the reason everything seemed small was because they would have people really close up and they would shoot them from like mid thigh to the top of their head, and then there'd only be a little bit of headroom. Normally in Star Wars, you're far away, you can see all these big towering like architecture around you. The shots are a little higher up, so there's more space over their head.
But I think that works because this emphasizes that this is a much smaller story
Yes.
than what we're used to.
We're used to Star Wars stories that are the last self-contained Star Wars story was Episode 4.
Yeah.
And arguably, I mean, they've expanded it since then, but that movie was supposed to be its own freaking movie.
Yeah.
Rogue One is its own encompassing movie.
Yeah.
The story, I mean, the story of these people, they haven't come from anywhere, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
This is everything that I wanted in a Star Wars movie.
I think this is everything a lot of people were wanting in a Star Wars movie.
It is an expanded universe story.
It is. I feel like this is what a lot of people wanted Force Awakens to be. Everybody complained that Force Awakens was too similar to A New Hope, this is, I think, what they were looking for. It's, the aesthetic is very much Star Wars, but the tone and the story like moves in a new direction.
Better or worse than Force Awakens? A lot of people are saying better.
I'm gonna say worse, but not. But again, I can't stress this enough. This is a great movie.
Right.
It's just, to me, you know, the highs I felt during The Force Awakens were not matched by Rogue One.
Okay.
What Rogue One did was show me another side to Star Wars that I never thought I would see on the big screen.
Yeah.
And it's a great side, but it's not like, the emotions weren't running as high as they were during Force Awakens. During Force Awakens, I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god."
Yeah.
During Rogue One, I was more like, "Oh. Oh." That's not to say I didn't fanboy out at a lot of parts. I did.
Yeah, there were a lot of good
that gets into
callbacks.
spoilers, but
The Force Awakens was the first time in a long time that we were seeing on the big screen Star Wars done right, you know?
yeah.
So that was emotional in its own way, but Rogue One was Star Wars done in a way that we never thought that they would bring to the big screen, like what
Right.
you said. Um, this, yeah, this was an expanded universe
Yeah.
story. That this is something that we would have. You're right. It's something that we would have read about,
Yeah.
and now it's on. It's just amazing. Like
Yeah.
this is what a lot of us wanted. I think I need a lot of time to think about it
Yeah.
because I already said this is the most fun I've ever had seeing a Star Wars movie, and I will
Mhm.
stand by that. I don't I need time to think about whether it's better or worse than a lot of the other things.
Yeah.
I definitely had a better time watching this than I did Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I had a very good time watching Force Awakens. But this I was feeling a lot of feels, a
Yeah.
lot of there weren't many highs, but the highs were present, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I
like
feel like a lot of people are gonna feel that way.
it's just that they did that world so much justice.
Mhm.
And it's an interesting time because it's right before episode 4.
Yeah.
Minutes
Right
before
there. Yeah.
episode
It's
4.
like literally 5 minutes before episode 4.
It's like that they had to get that world perfect. They pretty much had to just remake episode 4 pretty
Yeah.
much. They had to
And
they had to
they
remake that
did.
world, and they
It
did.
looked more like Star Wars than Force Awakens did.
I was worried that it was going to take place a little bit earlier, so like, well, in the very beginning there's a part that takes place like a little way
Right.
earlier.
Yeah, no, there's a flashback.
And even that feels like the original trilogy
But
and
even that,
not the
like,
prequel trilogy.
like that, the opening scene, like that sets up how this is going to be different because they're standing in there's a lot of wind
Yeah.
in it, and like you think about it, like there's not a whole lot of wind in Star Wars,
Right.
but like they're standing there, like everything's blowing and flying in the breeze, and like the camera's shaking, and it's like up close, and the color palette is very gray,
Yeah.
and like that's not what Star Wars usually is.
So, what time period is that? The opening scene?
I think that was about like 15 years before um New Hope.
A
So
New
I think
Hope.
that's like, not too long after Revenge of the Sith. Because remember, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, they started building the Death Star.
Right, because there are shadow troopers,
Yes.
and that's not a thing, is it? Is that
Not
the end of the end of Revenge of the Sith?
no.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So this must have been like a year or two.
I mean,
but that means the shadow troopers like that. They're like there.
Then again, Shadow Troopers necessarily weren't a part of A New Hope. Neither were the Shore Troopers or any of the other
That's true.
specialty troopers that they introduced in this
That's
movie.
true.
Neither was the U-Wing. Neither was the
Well, the Empire is like a thing.
Yeah.
Like they advance pretty quickly. Is what
Mhm.
I'm saying. Like I don't know. It's just interesting that part took place just after the prequels, and it felt nothing like the prequels.
Yeah.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah.
But that was perfect.
Mhm.
It was just perfect. What are we at? Oh, we're at 10 minutes.
Oh, look at that. All right. Spoilers.
Spoilers.
All right.
Cover your ears, close this out, add it to your watch later.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, and watch it when you're done watching the movie, and then we'll spoil the hell out of it together.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know.
I want to talk.
Panda Baba?
Yeah. I was like giggling when that came up. My fiance's like, "Why are you giggling?" Like, those are the guys who picked a fight with Luke. Remember? I was like, "Oh yeah,
Panda Baba and what's his name?
yeah." I
The
never,
dude with the
it's
nose.
Doctor something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember, but they're in it. C-3PO and R2-D2 are also in it.
Yeah, for like a split second.
Yeah. Okay. Tarkin is in it. It
Yes.
was rumored that Tarkin would be in it. Tarkin is in this movie.
He must have been very expensive.
He showed up and I audibly wowed because he looked exactly like Peter Cushing did in 77. Obviously, it's CGI, but
Yeah.
like
They did a good job with
it
the
was
CGI.
great. Like,
I mean, it's very obviously CGI, but
yeah,
they did a very good job.
like I was
The
floored by
uncanny
how.
valley is there, but it's easy to look past.
Okay, I found it less so with him than I did with the one at the very end, which I don't know if you want to get into that right
Yeah, they
now.
were spoiling.
Okay, Leia shows up at the very end.
I got very emotional when
I
Leia
was
was
like,
on screen. I
"What?"
got very emotional.
Ah! Like you actually see them hand her the whatchamacallit.
It's such a build up because
Who's
like
calling me? Oh, it's, my phone is telling me to go to bed. Sorry.
it's such a build up because Vader's there
Yeah.
at the last battle. Then they're going to take the plans.
Yeah.
It's then you're like, "Oh my god. Oh my god, this is the beginning of episode 4."
Yeah.
They're doing the beginning of episode
Yeah.
4.
Like,
And you see just literal like seconds before episode 4 happens.
yeah.
And then it goes into episode 4, like overlaps a little bit.
Yeah. And like you see them hand Leia the plans and she just looks at it and she says that this is hope.
You see the plans go from the battle that just happened all the way to Leia. You follow the plans to Leia.
Yeah.
And it is an amazing sequence of events.
And like right before that, I need to talk about this because this is probably Vader's finest moment in cinema. Because the original trilogy, he was great in it and all that. And then the prequels, ruined him. But like you hear about like all these things, like the EU especially, Vader was a much more badass. He was very ruthless. He
Yeah.
was this, he was that, and like all yada yada yada. Now you see it. Now you see him be like this vicious person.
The thing is that like I was waiting for it the whole time because I
Yeah.
heard about it, but it happens at the very end. At the
Yeah. But
very
it's
end, you get a little taste of Vader, and he is just messing people up.
but it's worth it,
Yeah.
like it's a reminder, like there's a reason why he is the most feared bad guy in the galaxy. Also, his eyes were red,
They were
like
very
they
red.
are in A New Hope.
They were very
Not
red.
many people know that.
They were like crimson.
Yeah.
That was very good, and it was
Yeah.
just him on the rebel ship
Yeah.
getting the plans back.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good, and they're like he's like pulling the guy who has the plans, and then they close the gate, and then he's like pulling him again. It
Yeah.
was so good. There was a lot of nail biters in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It was really complex. There was a
Mhm.
like every Star Wars movie has like a fight that turns into a situation that's
Yeah.
like got like a lot of things going on that are like potential problems. This had just layers and layers
Yeah.
and layers and layers of problems.
Like it just kept getting worse and worse and worse
Yeah.
until finally, like the last battle. The last battle reminded me a lot of like Normandy and like actual war movies because like we never actually see a lot of like frontline stuff in Star Wars, but like this is it full on. Like
I'm so happy everybody died. So happy everybody died.
yeah,
That
so
is what I
everybody.
wanted.
I mean, it's really like I was kind of sad that Jin and Cassian died. I mean, they went out like that was like they
I'm
had a very
really
touching moment
I'm
there.
really happy they died. It reminded me of The Watchmen.
Yeah,
I'm really happy that they died because it's a self-contained story and they literally can't do anything else with
yeah.
these characters.
I mean, there's that, and it's good that like it's the definitive end, but like it's like you grew to like know these characters and accept these characters, and then like then you just take them away from you. That's harsh.
I know, and that makes you feel so much,
Yeah,
you know?
like I would have liked to have seen more. I honestly would have liked to have seen more with Jin and Cassian. Maybe they escape and they change their names to Jan Ors and Kyle Katarn.
Cassian, I was expecting about like half an hour into the movie, I was like, "That is Kyle Katarn.
Yeah,
That is Kyle
I mean,
Katarn."
it really is. It's Jan Ors and Kyle Katarn, just with different names. I don't understand why they changed the names. Thrawn is in Rebels. Like, why can't you just bring those characters back?
God, because he's like he like shoots somebody in the back in the very beginning
Yeah,
of the movie, so you're like, "That's a bad guy."
yeah,
Kind of like with Han, he shot first, so you're
yeah,
like, "Oh, that's a scoundrel." That's what Cassian is. He's shot the dude in the back, so you're like, "That's a bad guy," and
yeah,
that's why in the beginning you think that he's actually gonna kill Galen.
yeah,
Um, that was another moment when he was like, "Yeah, the sniper rifle," and he was like
yeah.
on Galen. That was a moment where there were just layers and layers of problem after problem.
Yeah, but I think that scene is indicative of the whole message of the movie, and the movie is about what a soldier has to do in a time of war. Like, how far is someone willing to go for what they believe is the right cause?
Yeah, they all
And
lost
and you
stuff.
see that from both sides. Like, you see Krennic, like how far he's willing to go, because like the Death Star is his, and like Tarkin is trying to take that from him, and you see how far he's willing to go to like keep that.
Yeah,
And just everything he does throughout the movie by talking to Vader, by going to what the hell's that planet's name? Seraph?
Seraph.
Seraph.
That in battle, Seraph. Yeah.
Yeah. Going to Seraph, where the Death Star plans are
That's the
located.
only name I know because it's a font thing.
Well, there was also Jenda. That was
I don't remember
the
that.
planet that Saw Gerrera was on.
What is it called?
Jenda.
That's just another desert planet.
Yeah.
In case you got to add it to your list of desert planets.
It's like Green Hill Zone. Every Sonic game has a Green Hill Zone.
Right.
But I want to quickly talk about Donnie Yen's character, the blind guy.
Yeah.
I want to see more things like that because he is one with the Force, but he's not a Jedi.
Right.
That's a unique twist that like we don't really think about, because there are people who are, in the real world who are like, religious, but they don't label themselves as like Catholic or Protestant or Jewish or Muslim or things like that. And now you start to see that in Star Wars. You sort of saw it in The Force Awakens in the beginning with Max von Sydow's character. Like, he's a Force believer, but he's not a Jedi. Now this is like very explicit.
He seemed like he just didn't. He could have been a Jedi if he had somebody to like teach him,
Yeah.
like, and he didn't have that. So he was kind of trying to figure it out on his own.
Yeah.
And he was trying to harness the Force and
Yeah.
as much as he could, and he did because he was blind.
Yeah.
So he harnessed the Force to help him with that, and he was a good fighter that mostly used the Force.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't have any like real Force powers or anything.
Yeah.
He kind of just had his like
His
sight.
senses, yeah.
It kind of just helped him with his like fifth sense, sixth
Mhm.
sense or whatever. I guess fifth because he's losing his eyes.
Yeah.
No, he was the thing that gets me. It got me in the Force Awakens. Every time somebody who doesn't believe in the Force and they're known to not believe in the Force, they admit to believing in the Force in like a dire time, it really, really gets to me. It makes me a little emotional. Like that happened with the dude, his like friend.
Yeah.
Do you think they're really good bros, or do you think they're gay together?
I think they're really good bros.
Okay.
I mean, my gaydar doesn't exist, like, so
Right.
I'm like the last person to know. I just think they're bros.
He no, after the blind guy died, he was like, "I'm one with the Force. The Force is me." And he said like over and over.
Yeah,
again. I was
yeah.
like, "Wow," because the whole movie he was like, "This dude with his Force is stupid.
Yeah.
He's like praying. He believes in that garbage." And at the end, he believed in it.
Yeah. That's what happens. That's what
Every
happens.
single character had a redeeming moment.
Yes.
And then they just got trashed.
It's like it was too late.
That was so good. They
Yeah.
all were like instrumental
Yeah.
in fighting the Empire. Like
Yeah.
they're the reasons why Luke was able to blow up the Death Star. And
Mhm.
the thing is that like in episode 4, you think that it's all Luke. You're like, Luke did that. Luke took down the Death Star. This kid, this farm boy,
Yeah.
just destroyed the Empire. Meanwhile, you have all of these people who are
This
all
is
little
like the
tiny Lukes.
unsung, yeah,
Yeah.
the unsung heroes of the whole movie.
Arguably lost a lot more than Luke did.
Yeah.
And gave up a lot more than Luke
Speaking
did.
of which, this is something that, like I was thinking about. I read this about like Force Awakens, like, death in Star Wars doesn't really mean a whole lot. Because
Right.
like people will die and then they'll go right on to the next scene. this is the first time in Star Wars that like
There are
they
bodies.
stop and they like think about like what just happened. Like Jin does not get over the death of her father very quickly.
No.
And like as the main characters start to die off, like they'll stop and like look at each other and like, you know,
And
really
you'll
you'll
for a
feel it.
second.
Yeah.
You'll see them be like, I liked that person.
Yeah. And like at the end when like Jin and Cassian are hugging each other and they get vaporized, like that made it just like feel that much more important.
There's a spot that's pointing out in my head, like while they're on Seraph and everybody's fighting. There's
Yeah.
like two grunts, and one of the grunts gets blown away when they start like getting overwhelmed, and he goes, "No!"
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't know these people,
Yeah.
but you know they were really good friends,
Yeah.
and they're all losing stuff.
Yeah.
It was so good. That really brings home that every single time somebody dies, somebody else felt it. With Jan and Galen, when Galen died, I thought that was cliche because she was like, no, don't die. And he was like dying in her arms. I'm like, okay, that's cliche. But then it went on for a little bit, and then the other guy, what's his name, Cassian was like, we gotta go right now, and he had to like drag her away, and that was not so cliche anymore. That was like, okay, this is, I understand now. That was her dad that she hasn't seen in a million years, and now he's dead. That was everybody's losing stuff.
Yeah.
So this is not an upbeat movie.
No, I honestly don't think, maybe like you don't take your kids to see it because like there's a lot of things in this movie that like you're gonna have to explain to them. Like it really isn't like this rip roaring like adventure movie.
Unless they
like,
love Star Wars, because like the thing that brings it up in the end is that the rebellion, this is a very big victory for the rebellion.
Yes.
Everybody lost something for a reason.
Yeah, like their deaths meant something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody lost a lot. So if you can't think about the bigger picture, if you don't have that capability, you shouldn't watch this movie.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, it depends on how small the kid is.
Yeah.
It's not like every other freaking Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
where it's
no,
all sunshine and rainbows at the end.
Definitely like the I would say the darkest Star Wars movie.
I would say if you saw Episode 3, you can see Rogue One. It's darker, but Episode 3 also ended on a down note.
Yeah.
On like a major down note.
Yeah.
So if you're comfortable showing them that, then you'll be comfortable showing them Rogue One, even though it's darker. But yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, enjoy it. 4 stars. Check it out.
4 stars. 4 out of what?
Yeah, 4 out of 4 out of 4.
4 out of 4.
Keep it simple.
7 out of 7. I would say.
8 out of 3.
I would say, again, most I've ever enjoyed watching a Star Wars movie. I am fighting back saying that it is the best Star Wars movie I've ever seen, because it is. I just got out of the theater.
Yeah, you did.
I need time to bake on that. But it is the most I've enjoyed watching a Star Wars movie, for sure. Because, like, we grew up with Star Wars.
Yeah.
We used to watch it all of the time.
It's very important to us.
I don't have a memory of watching them for the first time.
Yeah.
I don't have that memory because I was just around it so much. So that's why I can't speak to the first time that I saw the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So this had a lot of callbacks to that, and that is why it was enjoyable. But not too much.
Yeah, it was exactly what it needed to be. It is what the movie that Gareth Edwards, said it was going to be. He wanted to, be faithful, but he knew he had to do something different and like take a risk. Otherwise, what does he bring into the table? And he did exactly that. You heard all these stories about like, reshoots and like they're bringing on other people to fix the movie. But, whatever they did to make this movie what it was, like it worked.
That's the thing. There were rumors that they made this movie lighter, that they had to do reshoots to make this movie lighter. No,
I'm surprised Disney let this.
That was a rumor. They did reshoots because they always do reshoots.
Yeah.
Because Disney's like, we have more money. Did you want to spend it? And they're like, yeah, of course we did.
Yeah, let's try to make Leia look a little better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's reshoot that scene so that Leia looks better or Tarkin looks better. Like, that's what I mean. Like, they didn't. There's no way that they lightened this up a little bit. That robot was great.
Oh yeah, KSO, whatever.
Yeah, but even
Yeah.
he like, died in a
Nobody
tragic way.
nobody survives this movie.
Yeah, I think he was the first one to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went in a oh man,
In
blaze of
Blaze of
glory.
Glory.
They all God, he's so good. Everything was so good.
Yeah.
He was like the comic relief, but he was also just really sarcastic.
Yeah, it was like, dark humor,
So he was
sarcasm.
serious.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like he was joking, but like it was sarcasm. So
Yeah.
like they were all serious. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, the themes were all there. Like the theme of Star Wars, the theme of somebody was saying the theme
Yeah.
of hope
Mhm.
throughout the whole thing. That was there. But traditional Star Wars, no, this is a lot darker.
Yeah.
I like how what you said. This is a traditional expanded universe story.
It is, because the expanded universe stories were all, mostly they were
They
darker and
took
more
chances.
serious.
This took a huge
Yeah.
chance.
Which is good because now we know that Disney, is doing good by, the non-saga stories. So now the next one that comes out, which will be Han Solo, it puts me at ease because that this just shows that they are taking it seriously and they're going to take their time and they're going to
Right.
do what they need to do to make it work.
I'm a little scared of that because that's gonna probably be a similar tone to uh the original trilogy or Force Awakens.
Right.
It's not
No,
gonna be like
that's one. This is not going to be as like dark,
it's
but
not gonna be a
it's going to
complete
be
shift or anything.
it's going to be Western style,
Right.
which can be a little bit more adult.
That
I
would
mean,
be
if they're dealing with like the seedy
that would be
underbelly,
great.
that'll probably get pretty adult.
I'm not necessarily saying that I want it to be adults because
Right.
aren't they young? They're like young in this.
Yeah, they're like in their 20s.
Oh,
and stuff.
just changing the shifting it to be like a Western
Yeah.
sounds great. Do that.
Mhm.
Change it up a little bit. Take risks.
Yeah.
Do that. That's good. I am that much more excited for episode 8
Yeah.
because this is the most I've ever enjoyed watching Star Wars movie. Episode 8 is going to be darker than The Force Awakens
Yeah.
for sure. And Luke's in it.
Yeah.
And he's my man. And if they did right by Tarkin, they did
Yeah.
right by Leia for 2 seconds.
And in Force Awakens.
Force
too,
Awakens,
yeah.
they did very right by Leia because she lost a lot. She
Yeah.
went through a lot in that. She
Mhm.
was awesome in The Force Awakens.
They do right by all the returning characters.
Yeah.
Even Bail Organa.
Yeah, Bail Organa.
Yeah.
Episode 8 is going to be that much more amazing.
Yeah.
Bail Organa, when you see him leave to die.
Yeah.
You see him leave and he's like, I got somebody who can do this. I got to go back to Coruscant. See you later. And they're like, hey, take care.
Yeah.
Or like something like Mon Mothma says
Yeah.
something to him and like you just feel it like he's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead now.
Going back to Alderaan to get blown up.
God. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. So what did you guys think about it?
Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think it's the best Star Wars movie? Probably not. Let us know down below or anywhere on the internet.
Rank it in with the other.
Rank it if you dare.
Yeah, with the other 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to cool a little bit.
Yeah.
It is like at the top of my list right now. God. Yeah, leave in the comments or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'll put up a thing that you can watch other videos.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much.
Have a good week.
Bye.